Well, after days of demanding urgent action from Congress, today President Trump is now telling his fellow Republicans in Congress to abandon immigration reform until after the midterm elections coming up in November. Here to joining us live to break down what that means, we welcome back Dr. Lee Hanna, Assistant Political Science Professor at Wright State University. You know how to make an entrance.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Glad everybody's okay over there. Let's start with this, because as just a few days ago, it seemed like the president thought this would be something he could use as leverage to gain support going into the midterms. Now suddenly he's saying, nah, let's wait till after November. What's up here?
Yes, I think sometimes the president underestimates just to what extent there are factions even within his own party. So while he may have the numbers, at the margins, a little bit of room and very little room in the Senate, you have some immigration hardliners like a Mark Matthews type versus some of the more moderates on immigration that make finding a kind of winnable coalition very difficult. And this is a continuous theme in congressional politics of just this inability to find common ground, and what leads to deference to the Bush administration, the Obama administration, and now the Trump administration to put in these quick fixes.
Lee, let's talk more about the midterms, because they're going to be here before we know it. Potentially, depending what happens, the GOP right now is in control of both the House and the Senate. They could possibly lose their majority in the House, which then makes passing any kind of immigration reform that much more difficult.
Correct.
I'm wondering how this immigration thing is going to play heading into the midterms. I mean, I can see Democratic campaigns already right now putting ads together using the video of those kids in those camps. I mean, this is going to be a big issue, I think.
Yes, I think you're right. There's still a lot of time, and we've noticed this news cycle is so frenetic. But, one thing worth noting, if you look at opinion polls, and they could still move, if you look at just Republican identifiers and kind of their views on immigration, about 80% support the border wall. But when we look at this policy this past week, this family separation policy, only about 55% of Republicans are even comfortable with that. And we saw some kind of unfamiliar faces out there challenging this policy, different churches, different evangelical groups, even people like Franklin Graham, who've been real steadfast supporters, weren't comfortable with the visuals, weren't comfortable with families being broken up at the border. And so you're right, this could be something that becomes a bit of a challenge for Republicans to campaign with when we get to November.
Lee, finally, let me ask you about the event the president had today with the so-called angel families, the survivors of families of people who've been killed, Americans who've been killed by illegal immigrants. I mean, it was a very powerful event, I thought, by the president. Really, he's trying to use this, as leverage to make a very strong point.
You're right. He's trying to change the frame. The frame was not good this week for him and for the Republicans. They realized it, and they really changed their tactics by the end of the week. And so he's trying to, again, use the bully pulpit that many presidents use to try to put out his point of view and his image. And we'll see. I mean, he has been successful on some issues in terms of moving public opinion in that direction and moving fellow Republicans, in leadership in that direction. So we'll see what comes of it, and also what leaders in Congress will do next in terms of will they really just put this aside, or are they going to try to run with this new theme of the dangers of illegal immigration.
Yeah, even if immigration is dead for now in Congress, this issue is not going away anytime soon.
Correct.
It is right on the national radar right now. Lee Hanna, always a pleasure.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Have a great weekend. Good to see you.